All right, well, we are back after an exciting weekend here in Atlanta, GA. Cleveland, somehow we missed each other, but we were both at the Shaky Knees Music Festival. Yeah, that is right. That was something else. We'll have to talk about some of the things that we saw throughout this week of podcast. But did you say you don't want to waste time in the beginning and just jump right into it? Like I jumped off the stage a few times. Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's get rid of what we got over here. We are just in a Swift playground file, and I thought we would look at something that I had never actually seen before. I mean, it was only on page 50 of the documentation. I suppose I should have. I guess I overlooked it. I'm going to start writing a function over here, and it is the defer statement. Oh yeah, that is not a word that I like. It usually involves a phone call where somebody says something like, "Sir, if you defer payments from us one more time, we are going to have to take back that equipment that you bought or rented from us, whatever the situation is." So you're saying that it goes into here, right? And then let's just who's typing here, me or you? I thought we both were. You have one hand on the keyboard. You get the left side, and I get the other side. All right, whatever the opposite of left is. So yeah, I get what you're saying here. You're putting in Cleveland didn't make payments this month. Yeah, well, just to keep with the theme of deferring, just reiterating that word. Okay, all right. Well, there's a few things wrong right now. First off, to be able to run this, we did put in here this word throws. Okay, so when we actually call the function, we're gonna have to write try in front of it. But this works when you're returning things, and in this case, we're just gonna return out any old Boolean value, and we don't even have to set up a variable. We could just put in here return false. All right. Further making this a terrible example, but let's just put in here some bool result. And let's just try to get the whole thing written in. That's always a good idea when you're programming, right? Write it all. Yeah. And then we'll put try and then some func. So there's where the try statement would go. And this kind of keeping with the lesson that we did last week about error types, everything like that. They make a point that this is, I guess you'll probably end up doing this if you're going to get back some sort of error. But even if you were, the defer statement allows you to do whatever you want, regardless of whether or not that error is going to occur. But it's going to get run before the actual error. And what you're not seeing over here is this actually working. And there we go. So if you fold this up or toggle it up, and then you hit the execute playground, you don't see that the statement over here on this side like you normally would, but you do get it over here. And yeah, I guess there's really not a whole ton else to it. Like I was saying, you don't necessarily have to do the error. Now, of course, in this example, it's kind of silly because we're always returning false over here. So yeah, maybe you could drive that home. Like, why don't you put like another variable over here? And by the way, this doesn't make me look very good that I would rent equipment from, say, Lowe's or Home Depot and not pay for it immediately or ever. But let's say, what do we have? Do we have equipment? And you know what? There are justified reasons for not returning the Bobcat or the backhoe, the big thing that's got the bucket that scoops out the dirt. For some reason, I can't think of it right now. But some of those might be altruistic reasons. For example, kind of deep in the woods, we have what many people would consider some sort of forest monster or abomination that we in the community have kind of managed to get into a large pit, and but we did have to we had to rent a lot of equipment to make the pit, and then some other equipment to make walls around it and stuff like that. Cleveland, this sounds a lot like some sort of hillbilly folklore that you're making up. I don't think the reasons that you didn't return your equipment was because you were fighting some sort of evil abomination. No, hold on a second. Now, you don't know the life that I've lived. Anyway, does this make a little bit more sense right now? But you know what? I'm not happy with you right now. You don't know what the tentacles can just grab a bobcat, pull it down into the ground. So we have lost many good citizens in our town from this. All we can think to call it is abomination. It's a shapeless kind of evil form that sometimes it's tentacles, sometimes it's some sort of. It might occasionally look like a guy wearing a Bigfoot suit, but okay. So, does everybody get it? Can we move on to something else? Do you have something that you feel that we could move on to? Well, I did actually notice that if we're just going to go back to the Swift programming guide, at around page 55, they kind of throw this right in your face. Like, look at this big old crazy function with 4 statements out of another 4 statement, all sorts of crazy characters. And then it's sort of like they do maybe what you would call a Hollywood-style reboot about, 2 pages later, the basics. So apparently now we're back to the basics where you just constants and variables. I think at some point they even show you how to write a comment. Oh, there it is. Look, so they thought, well, maybe we ought to just go restart this trilogy back at the beginning. Look, this is always a fun thing down here. You can actually put in emojis. How do I type? Can you give me the emoji keyboard to type that? Is there a separate keyboard or a separate MacBook that is just all emojis, not these standard characters? No, there's not. But you can, you could open up a message window. Don't show my contacts though if you're gonna do that. Oh, okay, yeah. Look at that. Oh, you know what's a fun one? Wait, hold on. I got an emoji to show you guys. So you can actually make variables with emojis. So watch this. I got. Can I just get rid of this for right now? Just totally get rid of it. No, we don't need to see it again. I got family barbecue coming up, right? It's kind of a big old family reunion with everything from first cousins to third cousins. We draw the line at that. If we started getting into fourth cousins, it would grow from about 300 family members to like 3,000. And I'm kind of in charge of the grill. Everybody knows that I'm something of an aficionado. And so I got to basically come up with like 600 hamburgers that day, right? So let's say that, let's start this at 0 because that's how many that we'll begin the day with. This is 0 burgers or 0 people fed. And, if you don't feed your kinfolk in a timely manner, the feuding starts back up again. So they do have an emoji for plates, okay? But I suppose this would be like people served, really, or plates served, something like that. But instead of having to write all that out, it seems like it would be a lot quicker to go over to your Messages app and dig through the appropriate emojis and then copy that in. Of course, again, since you can't really, you would always have to copy back your emoji if you're going to do this. You'd have to go find it back in the code and copy it to be able to, rewrite it. But anyway, that I'm sure for some people that makes more sense for them. And so anyway, what the plates served would be, I guess I got to do about 600 or so. Everyone's going to eat 2 or 3 burgers, or maybe, I don't know, more like 1,000. Not 10,000. And the problem here is that I've only really got the, is there a cow? Okay, I've only got maybe 2 cows that I can make use of. So, 2 is even generous. I'm assuming I can lure one over from a neighboring farm and, just do a little, what we call side slaughtering. Just come over here. This hole in the fence is, you want to go this way. All right, so what we'll do is we'll say that while, and then burgers is, is under the amount that we need to serve up. Then what we'll do is put this over here. Now, you've told me in the past that this is something of a dangerous thing. You could potentially maybe shut down the internet or do something like that if you just leave a while loop running infinitely. But is there any way that we could just kind of see what would happen? Maybe perhaps if we put in here a print statement and then just printed out the number of, yeah, well, let's just do this. Print, and then, so I can print out the burger icon? Is that where you're getting at? Oh, let's print out the burger icon with the variable. You're not really in this tutorial with me, are you? No, not in the least bit. I'm just letting you go. Okay, so yeah, so this is the situation that you were telling me about. I can't afford that many burgers. It seems like we're coming up on the amount of hamburgers that McDonald's serves in every 5 seconds. Right now, it's about 70,000. Okay, so let's stop that, or maybe what we have to do to prevent it is I think we. Oh, this is this is not a good sign. We're going to have to maybe shut down. I told you not to do that. Why would you ever just leave a while loop running like that? You know that it ends up with this color wheel every time, and we're going to probably have to restart this whole thing. I'm amazed we're even still recording now. All my computer's energy has gone to dealing with your burger loop over here. Yeah, I do have nightmares about that. Some sort of burger loop. Oh, it's started back over again. Quick. We have to do this. Plus, no. Oh, no, I didn't. What is the plus equals? Does that work? Does that stop it? Yes, it did. Look at that. Just in the nick of time, too. We were probably going to have to deal with the wheel again. Okay. Reminds me of that song, Big Wheel Keeps on Burning, right? Okay. So anyway, now, what have we actually done here? We haven't used the cow thing yet, but we have stopped this at 1,000 at the number of plates that is usually the point where we have to, okay, well, I guess what we would do is just say that, if, and then, alright, so if this was if that equals 1,000, then all we have to do is say that, the cow equals, doggone it, what is that? The cow equals itself minus 1. So what you're telling me is, and yeah, at the end of it, okay, so we can print out what the cow equals, right? So you're saying at the end of this, this is probably the best way that you could program using these emojis. So you work your job for a while and then you hand off your work to another programmer. They would probably intuitively be able to look at this and be like, okay, the burgers are all right, the picnic amount, and then the family, and then the fighting starts if the bad blood comes back if people aren't fed. You think that they would understand that pretty well just by looking, just a quick glance at this. No, I think it's a terrible idea. And I'm surprised even Apple would mention that you could do this. It seems like they're just being funny. Like, nobody would ever program with emojis. Interesting. Okay, well, all right, I guess agree to disagree, right? No, all right, fine. You'll never see this ever in a regular CartoonSmart.com tutorial. Oh, nice, good way to get the website in there. Did you forget where you have been working for 12 years or more? Just lay off. I was at the concert this weekend. Come on, man. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I will, since we're just killing time and nobody listens to these anyway, I need your Google thing for a moment. Here it is. Okay, so I need to look up hat with helicopter on top because this was quite a fashion statement that I saw. This looked at pretty much what the guy was wearing. So he was maybe like 18 or, I don't know, 20 or so. Clearly not old enough to have actually bought any sort of alcohol. And also emphasizing it a lot by wearing a helicopter hat. And he also had on some other clothes that made him look like, 50% of a rodeo clown. But he must have gone inside of his pocket or something like that to stealthily open up a beer, which had clearly gotten shook up walking around. So all we saw was this beer just foam explode out the side of this guy's pants, and it all dripped down the side of him. It was like a Little Rascals thing. I could have sworn that hat was just going to go a foot off his head and the little helicopter blades were going to whirl up. It was probably the best moment of my life, actually, seeing that happen. and everybody around him was just sitting there laughing at him. Oh, terrific. All right, I'm not going to... That does sound pretty funny. I would like to see that, too. Speaking of rodeo clowns, that's a pretty dangerous thing to do. Do you think that? And I'm sure clowns have died before. Do you think that? And I don't want to bring the tutorial down or nothing, but do you think that if you died as a rodeo clown and you went to some sort of like what is it before heaven? Is it purgatory where you just wait in line to kind of get assessed or whatever it is? Do you think that when they go up to the purgatory line, they're still in the rodeo clown outfit? Because it seems to me that would be one of the most embarrassing situations. Like everybody else is in a business suit or whatever they died in. I mean, well, nobody I know that has ever died. Nobody I know has ever died in a business suit. But do you think that maybe like whoever is the line monitor sees the guy in the rodeo clown and is kind of like, sir, if you want to step out of line and change into some normal, non-completely embarrassing clothes, we can let that happen. And there's maybe like a little curtain that he can kind of go behind. Do you think that that's a real, do you think that, I mean, that makes sense to me. My vision of the afterlife is pretty much everything that is common sense. And that seems pretty commonsensical to me. You're really going to talk about things that are common sense? You realize that you told me a story about an abomination living in the woods in a pit that you occasionally have to wall in a little bit better. So you really want to go with the common sense thing? Well, you know what? All right, I'll admit a little bit. That's maybe a bit of a fib because I don't want to just straight up admit that most of the time the reason that I can't pay Home Depot or Lowe's is because I don't have enough money to pay them. So, all right. Well, so then now I've gone back to the afterlife. I've kind of admitted to that, and I gotta forgive myself for the sinning of lying about the woods monster. Although I'm gonna tell you that's what I'm telling you to your face, but to the people on the podcast, there really is a woods monster. Okay, so that's about it for the the tutorial today, right? I thought that was my gig. I'm the one that says, all right, let's wrap it up. Oh, yeah. Well, are you going to at least let me do the jingle at the end of the tutorial? No, I don't ever want to hear that again. All right, so if you want some tutorials that are not nonsense, go over to CartoonSmart.com. What's that website again? Stop.